Okay, so let's get right into it. We all know AI can write a social media post, right? But let's be real. Most of what it spits out is kind of generic, super bland, and it just gets totally lost in the noise. Today, we are going way beyond those basic prompts. We're going to break down a framework called Digital Orchestration, and it's all about using AI not as some content farm, but as your strategic partner to absolutely dominate social media.
But listen, before we even think about writing a prompt, we have to know what we're really up against. And it's not your competition, it's not even the algorithm, not really. There is one true enemy for every single person trying to build something online. And that enemy is the scroll. Just think about it for a second. Every platform we use is designed for that endless, mindless, thumb-lumming scroll. Your one job, your only job, is to be the thing that interrupts that. You have to make someone stop their thumb even for just a fraction of a second. That is the first battle, and you have to win it. So, how do we actually win that battle? Well, it turns out your content has three very specific jobs that it has to do perfectly to beat the scroll. Let's break those down. First up, the pattern interrupt. This is your hook, your visual, that first line that literally makes the thumb freeze. Job 2 is the psychological payoff. Okay, you stopped them. Now you have to reward them for stopping. You got to give them value, or intrigue, or some kind of emotion, instantly. And third, the logical bridge. This is where you take that attention you've earned and you guide it somewhere, to a comment, a click, a follow. You know, most AI content completely fails because it's terrible at all three of these jobs.
In this slide, this just lays out the problem perfectly. The old way, the lazy way, is just asking AI, hey, write a post about productivity. And what do you get? The same 5 tips everyone's heard a million times. The modern way, the orchestrated way, is to give the AI a role, a job. Act as a cross-platform growth lead. You see the difference? You're not asking for content anymore. You're directing a strategist.
Which brings us right to our very first step. You have to architect a persona. If you want to stop getting generic results, you have to stop being a generic user. Before you write a single word, you have to define your voice. And here's exactly how you do it. First, you tell the AI your professional role and who you're trying to talk to. Then you ask it to pitch you 3 different voices. You know, maybe one is provocative, one's super educational, and one is more empathetic. Once you pick the one that feels right, you lock it in by creating a brand brief. In this brief, this is the absolute key. You're going to stick it into every single prompt from here on out. It's how you train the AI to sound like you. Okay, you've got your voice. Now for step 2, mastering the viral hook. And look, I really can't stress this enough. Those first 10 words of your post, they are literally like 80% of its success. It's everything. So the first type of color hook is the counterintuitive hook. It grabs people by challenging something they think they know. Why everything you've heard about productivity is 100% wrong. I mean, come on, that creates instant curiosity. You just have to read on to see if they can actually back up a claim that bold.
The second one is the specificity hook. Just look at the details here. From point A to point B in exactly 22 days using a single concept. Those specific numbers and details, they build instant credibility. It makes the whole thing feel so much more real and achievable than some vague promise.
And the third one, which might be the most powerful, is the vulnerability hook. This one works because it is just so incredibly human. Sharing a mistake, what it cost you, and the lesson you learned, that builds an immediate, powerful connection. People don't just follow perfect success stories, they truly connect with shared struggles.
Okay, so you have your persona, you have a killer hook. Now for step 3, you have to orchestrate across platforms. And the big rule here is to atomize your content, not just duplicate it. Seriously, just spamming the same link everywhere is a guaranteed way to fail.
So atomizing your content just means you take one core idea and you translate it for each platform. So for example, one thought on leadership becomes a deep dive article on a professional network, a super punchy visual carousel for a more visual platform, and maybe a personal story-driven script for video. It's the same core message, just delivered in the language that each audience actually wants. So, we've atomized our core idea, and now it's time to refine it. Steps 4 and 5 are all about perfecting that final post, sharpening up both the text and, just as important, the visuals.
Let's talk about visuals for a second. You need to aim for something called psychological contrast. What this means is your image shouldn't just show your topic literally. It should capture the vibe of your topic. It's about making someone feel an emotion, not just see an object.
So, instead of using that boring, cliché stock photo of smiling office workers for a post about growth, You use AI to create a powerful, minimalist 3D sculpture that feels like growth. It's totally unexpected, it's artistic, and it stops the scroll because it looks different from everything else in the feed.
All right, now for the text. Rule number 1, never, ever post the first draft the AI gives you. Instead, you use what's called the critic protocol. After it generates the text, you give it a new command. Now, analyze this draft. Find all the cliches and the robotic-sounding AI-isms and suggest ways to make it sound more human. This is the secret to getting rid of that cringy marketing speak and actually sounding like you.
We're almost there. The post is written, the visual is perfect, you hit that publish button, but the work is not done. Welcome to step 6. You have to win the golden hour. Because those first 60 minutes after you post, they're the most important part of the whole process. This first hour is all about something called initial velocity. See, the platforms are watching. They measure how much engagement a post gets right after it goes live. If you get comments, and this is crucial, you respond to them fast, the algorithm basically flags your post as interesting and starts showing it to way more people. Your job in that first hour is to be there to spark and fuel that fire. So how do you do that? Well, you stop ending your post with that lazy, "what do you think?" Instead, you go back to your AI copilot. Ask it for 3 provocative questions about your topic. The goal isn't just to get people to agree with you, it's to force them to take a side. A little healthy debate in the comments is the best possible fuel for that algorithmic velocity. And all of this, all these steps, it all leads to this fundamental shift in your mindset. You see, a content creator just churns out posts. They're always struggling for what to say next. But a content architect, they focus on the strategy. They're thinking about how to lead a conversation and guide an audience. This is the new partnership. You are the strategist. You bring the core idea, the unique facts from your own experience, and of course, the final human approval. The AI, it becomes your tireless co-pilot, handing you the drafts, the hooks, and the different platform versions. It's your creative leverage, supercharged. So that brings us to the final really important question you need to ask yourself. Are you just using AI as a simple content creator, or are you ready to step up and become a content architect? Because that choice is what determines whether you're just adding to the noise or you're actually orchestrating the entire conversation.